Just bear with me a little bit. Hello, Only Studies. Hi, Jessica. Hi, Victor. Just need a couple of moments here. Just very briefly. How am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? Just bear with me. You know what? Okay, let's just dive in. Okay. Only Studies. So tell us, are you an academic? Are you in college? Now, Only Studies, there's all the little mini readings we do here by tarot are by donation. Some folks are very generous. Some folks do the average. And anyway, it's not really first come, first serve. So yeah. Anyway, I hope I answered your questions. So just as a reminder, Only Studies, most of the folks who've been visiting here have been here for like 7 years or something, pretty much since we started. It's turned into a very tiny channel because of various issues with YouTube and the algorithm, but we keep going. And basically we kind of watch over each other. We've shared a lot, we've learned a lot, we've grown a lot, evolved. So I'll just share the little I know about tonight. Okay. So Jessica, you've got a rain check. If you're interested, we can use that. Gregory's already booked something in advance. I've got a rain check here for Necessary Truth, but I don't see her at the moment. So that's how that works. Let me just... let's see, tidy up here for a second. As you can tell, I've got my notes here. Everything tonight is based on our wonderful ephemeris. And today it's the 28th of July here in Las Vegas, Nevada, America, on the West Coast, Pacific time in the evening. We've crossed multiple mini crisis points and we're still in the thick of it with very, very big crises points here and here. And this is still ongoing. This was building up for 2 weeks. This will still have like an aura for another couple of weeks until Mercury goes retrograde, especially. Some of you might already be aware. Some of you are probably feeling it already and noticing all the classic characteristics well in advance. And of course, for the rest of the month, we still have Neptune and Pluto, heavy retrogrades. And there's Saturn. That's retrograde as well. The reason I marked these with the orange blobs is because we're at the crises points. We're at very, very serious crises points with the energy of these planets, all right? So it's intensifying as well. The way I tell is because I try to watch the global stage, the global arena, because with Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, they are considered, some people call them the impersonal planets, because it's very, very hard to understand their energy or have any conscious awareness of their energy or be able to integrate that energy into your conscious waking life. Even though we discovered these planets in the last 200 years, before that, for millions of years, for thousands and thousands of years, it was just mythology. Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. And, Greek mythology, Roman mythology, native, indigenous mythologies about the planets and everything. They all knew about Sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, because you could see all those planets from Earth. And they've been able to see it for hundreds of thousands of years, because humans go back to like, what, 1 million years or so? Maybe more, I don't know. But it's only recently that we've had these, and now there's been enough awareness of their presence here on Earth where we're starting to correlate mythological patterns and mythological themes and storylines with actual real-time world events. Right now, the most obvious one is Pluto, because it correlates directly with the Pluto cycle of the United States, which was completed on 4th of July 1776, and we did this Pluto return about 250 years later. But that Pluto return stretches out over about 10 years instead of a couple months. Anyway, so we're living through this right now. It's a massive historical moment in time astrologically. The last really, really big one that we had was about 2008 over here, when Sagittarius Pluto was moving into Capricorn Pluto. And the most obvious event was the global financial crisis that happened at that time, because it deals with power, money, and control at the very epicenter of human existence. The same thing is happening here, only it's much more extreme and much more severe. We're looking at a journey, we're looking forward into a journey of revolution, upheaval in the search for freedom, while we try and say goodbye to the world of tyranny. It's a battle, because the tyrants don't want to let go, but we the people want to be released. Tricky, tricky, tricky stuff. Okay, let me just say hello. Hi there, good evening. So, yeah. All right, so we've got, hey, necessary, I was just doing the rounds. We have a rain check for Jessica, and we had a booking for Gregory, so we got 2 readings already lined up. We have a newbie here, only studies. We could do a hazing. What do you think? Or because I can really only handle like 3 readings. My voice is very week. We're in a Taurus moon right now. Things are very mellow for me personally. I am enjoying and swimming in the Taurus energy as much as I can while I can. The weather has cooled down about 10 degrees, but I'm still getting all the nausea symptoms from the heat. So we do the best we can. Anyway, I think what we should do, give me a second. But I don't know if you saw this, but on the fire maps and the smoke maps, there were these spectacular plumes of smoke coming out of Southern California, heading almost into Las Vegas, but they flipped up north. And so it was very, very disturbing to see all the smoke in the sky last night, the last couple of days. It's still happening, but the weather and the wind directions have taken things a bit farther north. Necessary will connect after retrograde, okay? So yeah, only studies. If you're still here, check in and we will sort you out. Just let us know. If you can't handle it, better just move on. I'm telling you. I'm kidding. Okay, let's see. So, where are we? Okay, I'm just checking the chat. Yeah, okay, so we're going to read for Jessica. We're going to read for Gregory. Fine, we got that. All right, let's see. I've got my notes. Only Studies is here. Well, guess what, dear Only Studies? You're going to get a freebie. Effectively, you're going to be hazed as a newbie. Because all the regulars here, we love to see what happens to a newbie. It's fun for us. It's entertaining as we lift the veil and see into the great beyond. Yep, it's your lucky day. Thank you, Necessary. So these are my notes for now, just trying to keep up with a few things. Come back to that in a second. What I want to share now is that you can probably tell from the previous astrodoodles over the last couple of weeks that the energy is starting to shift big time. We've been dealing with 1, 2, 3, 4 crises points for the last 10 days, almost 2 weeks. Okay? However, the sun is moving on, creeping on. Venus and Mercury have already moved on. Mars has moved on. And so all the crises points here and here are starting to break up and loosen up. So you'll feel it. You'll feel it in the universe, in the heavens, in your life, in the world. And Victor, okay, I will check back. What do you mean? Hey, Victor, I thought you liked hanging out for the astrology. And then we'll do the readings later. Okay? So anyway, we still have these two very, very powerful crisis points happening right now. And they're not going to change anytime in the immediate future. So it's time to get used to it. The themes are very consistent, what we've been talking about for months and months and months. The plutocrats, the oligarchs, the tyrants, the tyrannical, maniacal globalists, the elites, they, them. They are represented by the very unhealthy Pluto in Capricorn energy, where we are hovering nearby at the moment. At the same time, Pluto is in the 0 degree marks for Pluto in Aquarius. So this is a major crisis point, and it's spilling out across the world stage. I've gone over this many, many times, but in a distillation, what it amounts to is just an extreme, severe polarization of energy into a binary, let's say, system where, whether you like it or know it or not, you're being sucked in to a binary system, either consciously or unconsciously. If it's unconsciously, it's either because you don't care, or you're not aware, you're not paying attention, or you don't like to make decisions, and so you are just allowing yourself to be sucked one way or the other. If you're the type of person like myself, I'm interested in the restoring and reconstituting the Constitution, redeclaring the Declaration of Independence, then you would probably be sucked onto the side of what I call freedom, the freedom movement. And if you are part of the global elites, then you would subscribe to the tyranny over here. In terms of sheer numbers, the vast bulk of people on Earth are either ambiguous, ambivalent, ignorant, or they just simply want to have a life as close to freedom as possible. So in terms of numbers, that's over here. And it's like probably 7.8 billion people with all their accumulated power and money and control. On the other hand, over here with Pluto in Capricorn, you've got probably 100,000 people at the most, all the elites of the world, and they have all the power and money and control effectively over we the people. So in terms of balance, what we're seeing is this balancing act of power and money control reaching a point of equilibrium. A tiny number of people who are the tyrants, who seek to maintain absolute power, money, and control, versus we the people the peasants, the serfs, the subjects, the masses. We want our freedom. Okay? You add all that up over here, you add all that up here, it's almost at an exact balance. But it is going to take of we the people. Okay? It's not going to happen like a switch. It's a long, long, long journey. This is a 20-year transit just from Pluto from here to here. The moon goes from here to here in 28 days. Do you see the difference? So, anyway, this is an ongoing thing. It's happening live right now on the global stage. Underneath that dynamic is the secondary, almost equally as powerful dynamic of truth versus lies, deception and fraud, betrayal, theft, crime, perversions, squalor, sickness, disease, the enemy within, the hidden enemy within, versus truth, simplicity, honesty, common sense, divinity, love, compassion, respect, truth, caring, tenderness, patience, probably above all compassion or love. Two energies that are completely, absolutely polarized. Okay? Truth or lies. And of course that same story is playing out in the global media more than anywhere is where we're seeing it, because Pisces, Neptune, 12th house is sort of the home for movies, media, where there's tremendous amount of deception. In other words, propaganda. So we're seeing that played out, especially here in America with the elections and all that crazy stuff. Crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. So those two are going to keep going. And the more we keep going, the more we keep on top of it, the more we deliberately choose to keep our eyes open and choose awareness and have the courage to make bold decisions, then the very tragic, sick, dark energies, unhealthy expressions of Pluto retrograde and Neptune retrograde will eventually turn around. There will come a time where Pluto will go direct and Neptune will go direct, and we're going to see things very, very differently, but that's a long way from now. Okay, we've been dealing with this for months. Okay, we're going to be dealing with it for months to come. Okay, months to come, but eventually it'll all flip around, and the storylines and the global headlines will change profoundly. Okay? Cheers, everybody. One of the things that's very obvious from my perspective here is this ferocious battle between the Gemini energy and the Pisces energy. Saturn is retrograde in Pisces. Mars and Jupiter are fully direct in Gemini. The Pisces-Gemini axis as a whole is hard squared to itself and each other, and that's happening right now. So effectively what this means is that the globe, in terms of communications over here, in other words, news, emails, X, Telegram, Twitter, Facebook, Meta, TikTok, Discord, Rumble, YouTube, all of those entities are forms of communication, platforms of communication. And they are in heavy, heavy conflict with the Pisces energy over here, Saturn in Pisces, which is representing the energy of all people involved in the mainstream media and alternative media who've made a decision to lie, cheat, steal, betray, defraud, undermine, deceive, everything you can possibly imagine. And they are being held accountable right now. So you might have noticed it on the global stage with global communications. Mainstream media has a long, long history of basically its propaganda to support these folks here. Okay? But it's coming unglued because of the beauty of this very powerful energy over here. You could say Mars in Gemini is very happy to work with Jupiter in Gemini over here big time. In other words, let's go big time and completely overwhelm the mainstream media and all their lies and call it out for what it is. Lies. And the thing is, the mainstream media, and that's all owned by these folks, they can't shut these people up because all of these alternative energies over here are pretty much owned and operated by the same people here. It's just alternative variations of it. So it's pretty much impossible to shut this down. It's impossible to shut the truth. It's shut down the truth. The truth is going to come out no matter what, and the truth will set us free. That's what's happening here. It's ferocious, it's a vicious battle, and it's on the global stage. It's a big, big, big battle. So that's what's happening right now. Let's have a look. All right, I'm going to share a few things. Let's have a look over here. Make sure we're safe. Okay. So, one of the most obvious examples on the global stage at the moment, all the shenanigans we've just been talking about here, in other words, tyranny versus freedom, perverts versus common sense, healthy people, Satanists versus people who are more aligned with believing that there's such a thing as God, heaven, nature that is above us. The Satanists and the CCP and people like that, they believe they are above God, above nature. They believe that they are gods themselves and they have absolute control and they deserve absolute power, money, and control over we the people. And it's not working very well. A fantastic example just happened with the Olympics. This is one of my first notes here. Today, the Paris Olympics organizers formally apologized for their depiction of the Last Supper with Jesus Christ in the way that they did it for the world to see, as told through the lens of Satanists, satanic rituals. They apologized and said, sorry, it was a little bit out of taste. We're sorry about that. But here's the thing, it's a little bit too late because the world has already seen it. They've already outed themselves. The Satanists, the globalists, they've already outed themselves. And so we come to this classic bumper sticker. It's better to apologize later than ask for permission now. In other words, people, that's a very, very common tool that perpetrators use to justify their behavior. I learned it first about 25 years ago with this guy called Sean Parker. He's the guy who invented something called Napster, which was the file sharing criminal, like bank robber behavior that bust open all the digital security locks on CDs and DVDs so that anybody could unlock their content and put it online and share it with other people. And within a matter of a year, it destroyed the music industry as we knew it. Completely destroyed it. Same thing with movies and so on. And what happened is it was mass wholesale theft and pirating of music and movies across the world. That was Sean Parker. He did that. He wrote the software. Not long after that, he became partners with Mark Zuckerberg. And they applied the same strategy. They did all their nefarious stuff, and when people across the world over the years started to figure out, wait a minute, these people are criminals. They're stealing our identities, our data. That's now today is called Meta. And Sean Parker is the guy who did all the coaching with Mark Zuckerberg to get Mark up to speed to learn how to be an extremely effective criminal. And it worked. And so Mark Zuckerberg himself uses that same strategy today. He does the dirty stuff and makes billions and billions and billions until people find out about it, and then he gets called into Congress. He gets fined like, I don't know, $100 million or something, which is just pocket change. And he says, I'm sorry, it was a glitch in the software. I won't do it again. Spank, spank. And then it's like another example. If it's better to apologize later than ask for permission now. In other words, they never asked for your permission to take your stuff. Same thing with TikTok. Same thing with a lot of places do that now. That's their standard. That's their business model. Google, YouTube, CIA, FBI, CrowdStrike, Palantir. They all do that. CrowdStrike and Palantir are full-blown intellectual property thieving operations, and they are created by the CIA. They're huge. They're independent companies, but they are government contracted. They contract with the government, so it's all CIA, FBI, all that stuff in the government, and it's all going on without our permission. They never asked us if we'd be okay with that. So now we have mass global surveillance. We have mass global control over the global infrastructure, as we just saw. In other words, they can just flip a switch at CrowdStrike and all the airplanes, hospitals, shops, stores, transportation, telecommunications, internet, just goes whoosh. And they've proved it. And they're going to, it's the same thing. It's better to apologize later than ask for permission now. They never asked for permission to be who they are and do what they do. Even with PayPal, the PayPal mafia, there's so much money in the PayPal mafia, and they're heavily, heavily, heavily linked to all this globalist elite stuff. So you got to be very, very careful. Okay, I just wanted to put that out there. Yeah, don't do Facebook. don't do it. You remember too, Jessica. Okay, I'm just going to keep going, and then we'll just get to the readings, all right? You know what? All right. I don't know if you've noticed lately, but I watch these things. I track these things. Bankruptcy filings. Bankruptcy filings in the United States are shooting up through the roof. Whether it's personal, small businesses, employees, employers, corporations, big corporations, huge conglomerates, bankrupt, bankrupt, bankrupt. One tragic example just happened today. There's a big, like a logistics. It's not that big, but it's called Vintage Wine Estates, and they own about 2 I don't know, I think it's like 20,000 something acres of premium wine estates, mostly in California, including one really, really nice one called Penfold Wines. I don't drink anymore. I used to many years ago. And if I could afford it, every now and again, I would buy myself a bottle of Penfolds. My God. I don't know what's going to happen. Anyway, they've just filed bankruptcy. There are banks that are filing bankruptcy. Millions of people are filing bankruptcy. Why? Because they can. And it's their only option anymore. The thing about the United States is that we're very, very blessed. Okay? We're very blessed because in the United States we have very powerful bankruptcy laws, which are based on the understanding that there's a borrower and there's a lender. In America, the bankruptcy law is predicated on the idea that if you're going to borrow a pile of money and you've made a good case to get it, in other words, whether it's for a credit cards, a college, a car, a house, a business, something like that, where you need to borrow a pile of money, and you appear to be of sound mind and body, and the lender says, you know what, okay, I'll lend you that money. And so they create the money, pump it out, send it to the borrower. And then something goes wrong. And sometimes things go wrong that are above and beyond the control of the borrower. And that's factored into the law. It's not just automatic. You have to prove it. But what happens is that it actually holds the lender accountable, saying that the bankruptcy court basically is telling the lenders, you have to understand that if you are willing to take the risk to lend that money to this person, entity, or whatever, on the understanding that it might never come back to you, that's on you. That's your risk. You have to bear a certain degree of liability for the risk that you are taking to lend it out in the first place. You can't dump it all on the borrower. And so that's what happens. So, anyway, it doesn't always work that way, but in America we're very, very fortunate. In other words, in America you're allowed to fail. That's one of the beauties of this country. You're allowed to fail. Of course, nobody wants to file for bankruptcy, but people do, and they can, and they recover, and sometimes they grow because they've learned amazing financial lessons. Okay, here's another thing about money, because I'm watching money closely because we've still got Uranus in Taurus, and we've got the moon in Taurus right now. That's on the global money spot, okay? Warren Buffett just the other day sold off about $50 billion of stock. Very, very quietly, very, very, very discreetly. And it turns out that a lot of big time CEOs, big time fund managers, big time shareholders are looking around thinking, yeah, maybe it's time to sell. We've had a really good run. Let's sell. Let's cash out, let's sell and enjoy and celebrate the fact that we had such a spectacular run thanks to the United States Federal Reserve banking system. We never had to work for that money. It was just printed into existence and circulated through the system in Wall Street. It comes back to the elites. But the elites are realizing that it doesn't go up forever, okay? I study this quite closely, and at some point there is going to be an implosion. It's already happening in China, live, real time. It's very, very frightening, okay? So, hello Maria. Jessica has to head out to pick up your son. I won't be typing, but we'll be listening. Oh, okay. Just be careful. Don't watch TarotLumination. Just listen, okay? If you're going to keep it on. Yeah, it's getting pretty scary. I watch certain indicators and from some very, very, very smart people, and they're calling it out. They're saying there's some very large, very, very deeply buried, highly correlated indicators that are showing what almost amounts to a financial Armageddon worldwide. Not just America like it was in 2008. We're talking worldwide. It's already happening live in China. All right, I'm going to keep going. Because it's so bad in China right now, that's 1.4 billion people, by the way, in a space about the size, almost the size of North America. But it's only habitable by about 2/3, so 2/3 of the space. So it's an extremely, extremely crowded country. It used to be very beautiful, but has become very decayed and dilapidated because of exploitation over the last 40 years. Anyway, they grew extremely quickly, and now they are collapsing very, very quickly. Mr. Ping has decided to impose a new form of taxation that goes direct to the people, imposed by the military and the police, because China's running out of money. They can't run their government, they can't run their pensions, they can't run their health care, they can't run their social security. Corporations are going bankrupt, businesses are shutting down. It's kind of terrifying. On top of that, I've already told you a lot about all the floods. It's mind-boggling, okay? Yeah, it's really scary to watch here. I mean, it's so bad in China, I think we're going to be witnessing starvation, famine, and a lot of death. Crops are being destroyed across China, either from drought or from extreme flooding. It's historical flooding. It's never happened like this before, but that is what is happening. Anyway, the CCP tax imposed by Mr. Ping is destined to fail. And why is that so? It's because the people, they don't have any money. They're all broke. They're all unemployed. All the millions of college kids, broke, unemployed. All the factory workers, broke, unemployed. All the farmers, broke, unemployed. Farms destroyed. There's no cash flow. China is bleeding cash. It's bleeding money. If anybody does have any money in China and they can find a way to get out, they're getting out of China. Big corporations, small families, big families, whatever it is, individuals, they're desperate. They're absolutely desperate. Of course, millions and millions will never make it. So, their healthcare systems imploding, taxes, Social Security, retirement, it doesn't exist. It's collapsing now. Mr. Ping knows that he's heading straight into a civil war. They can't feed their army. Even though they go around boasting that they have the biggest, most powerful army in the world and they're going to take over the world. Right now, you also have to understand that Mr. Ping, along with a lot of other countries that subscribe to communism and tyranny and dictatorship, they are consolidating, like I told you at the beginning of the video, they're consolidating into one polarity, which is to maintain absolute power and money and control. And they're going to face off with the rest of the world that wants freedom. Okay? So that's happening live now, real time. I can totally understand it, because there's a lot of people who are pissed off with America because America has been exporting all its inflation for decades, and people have now figured it out. people outside of America have figured out how they got screwed and defrauded by the United States Federal Reserve banking system and the United States Treasury and Wall Street. But it's too little too late. So anyway, the CCP tax is going to fail. The CCP China flood emergency situation is a disaster. It's the worst in history. There's no way they can patch it up. Cities are destroyed. Millions and millions of people's lives destroyed, wiped out, relocated, dead. Dead animals, dead crops, dead people. They can't even count them all. Also, at the same time, of course, the Chinese yuan is imploding as well, because Mr. Ping is trying to print so many yuan so quickly to try and convince himself that China is still solvent. Classic end of an empire type behavior. So that's what's happening live now, okay? And so the yuan, the Chinese yuan, like the US dollar, the Chinese yuan is decreasing in value very, very rapidly, but it's too much too quickly, and nobody really wants to touch it. Why would you buy a currency that's going to go down the tube? So that's kind of what's happening over there. And at the same time, China is trying to consolidate with all these other countries that are tyrannical in order to save itself. And they're trying to say, hey, everybody, you've got to use the yuan because we're the biggest. But it's not going to work. It's not going to work, people. Anyway, those were the main crises points that I wanted to illustrate. There's a lot more. There's a lot more. There's the stuff unfolding in the United States, of course. It's like a movie. We talked about this, I think, a few days ago. Kamala the movie. The opening first scene in the movie was spectacular. She was anointed. She was crowned the Queen of America to be. And then within 36, 48 hours, all the poo-poo, stinky, caca stuff started to come out. And within the first couple of scenes in the movie, it's getting very, very bad, very, very quickly. So we'll see where that goes. Just watch it. Just treat it like a movie. Interesting stuff happening in America, because, well, I'm observing the United States like I observe China. And I try to observe, like, okay, the Middle East wars, Israel, Gaza, Palestine, that is expanding, because at the moment, the warmongers want it to happen. It's a banker's war. The big banks, they want the war because it's big, fast money. Very, very quickly. Much better than regular day-to-day business. So it's like an orgy of money. The downside, of course, is death and destruction. But, the elites don't care about that. They're insulated. Same thing with Russia-Ukraine. It's the same pattern, okay? I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you. No, I'm gonna get you. No, I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you before you get me. Same thing with China. Okay, so we'll see where it all goes. The real crisis point for that was a few weeks ago. Of course, we already talked about it. So we're moving on. The momentum is still there. World War III. But eventually, I feel that there's going to be this point of stagnation where the warmongers are going to be called out, because the warmongers effectively don't care if we have to go nuclear. But the rest of the world does care, and it's going to be very difficult to initiate World War III and go to nukes unless they use the same process of Sean Parker. We're going to apologize later rather than ask for permission now. So we'll see how that plays out. I'm not sure. We'll see. All right, let's get set up, folks. We're going to do some readings now. So, Victor, you're good to go. And where is she? Only Studies. Where is Only Studies? Only Studies, you're up. Oh, God. It's okay. I hope you don't mind. It's Only Studies, but the rare times that these happen, and this is such a tiny channel with such a small community, when we do get a new arrival, it's too irresistible. We have to do a hazing. So you know what that's like if you are in the world of studies and you go to a new college, a new school, a new university, or whatever it is. Typically you get hazed somewhere. Because the people who are hazing you, they're trying to figure you out. They want to know who you are. What are you made of? So they start poking you to see where you crack. Ha! Ah. Ding. Ding. Oh, yeah! Yeah, I'm not... Please. So anyway, let's get over here. Let's get to the stage where we can do the actual work. I'm going to need a few minutes to set up, break all this up. I have to go get myself another beverage, and I'll be right back. So please chat amongst yourselves. I'm going to put all of this away. You know what? I'll do that when I come back. Bear with me. I need my beverage now. So... Okay, so we got to get in the groove here. Then we'll fade this out, or just cut to the readings when we have to. Stay there, folks. Enjoy it. So we're almost there. Please bear with me. Chugga. Oh, I see what you're saying there, Necessary. Yeah, please try to keep it to one word. So, like, Only Studies if you're concerned about health, finance, love, career. Okay, there you go, career. That's it. That's all we need to say. Don't say anything else. Don't put anything else in the screen. Cheers. Welcome, Only Studies. What we're going to do is what we've been doing for years now. This little deck has done thousands of readings. It's still like brand new. I don't understand it. Most of the time, tarot decks get really beaten up. After you've crossed about 1,000 readings, the deck is so beat up. But this is like pristine. It's pristine. I don't get it. I really don't get it. All right. So we're going to read for Only Studies. And we're going to try to find out, let's see. After that, we're going to read for Jessica Bergeron. And then we're going to read for Gregory Ross. You know what? I need a little bit more time, so bear with me. I'm going to have to shuffle from scratch. Studies, here we go. So, what I like to do is invite participants to imagine that you have these amazing invisible friends, and they're there for you all the time. Some of them you may know, deceased people, family members, pets, loved ones in the great beyond. Something where you might have a sensation, oh, there's an auntie or a grandparent or something like that. And you can just tell that there's somebody, spirit, especially when times are hard. So invite all of them to come and hang out with you now. Also reach out a little bit more. I would actually say it out loud by invitation. Also ask for your archangels and your guardian angels to come and settle in and enjoy it. Imagine you're sitting around a campfire and it's a beautiful evening. It's just a bunch of us here. That's it. And we're going to make the best of it. As if it is in a beautiful, beautiful retreat somewhere. Beautiful nighttime skies. Beautiful air that you can breathe. fresh water nearby on one side, ocean water nearby on the other side, mountains way off in the distance, and of course, perfect temperature. Alright, so cards are shuffled. I don't do any reversals. I'm not doing any oracles or anything fancy. So, dear Only Studies, this is my situational spread. It's the same spread I use with the president. Let's just call him 45. Every now and again, as you know, I get a call and he needs a very, very secret, discreet, private mini reading just to stay in tune. It's the same deck. Think of it as a diagnostic tool, okay? It's just like when your car is on the fritz and the blinky lights are flashing on your dashboard and you think, oh God, what am I going to do? You drive to the AutoZone O'Reilly type people and you tell them help, and they come out with their little diagnostic box. They plug it in, then they go back in the computer, and then you can reveal it to heal it, okay? That's all we do here. This is just a diagnostic tool, but it works in the spiritual plane. So let's have a look. Let's bless this deck, bless every single card, bless the whole channel, bless everybody who's here at our imaginary, magnificent campsite. Bless the cameras, the technology, the multiple softwares, the lighting, the microphones, the electricity, and the platform itself. Yay! So what kind of messages do we have here tonight for Only Studies regarding career? What kind of messages do we have? So when we do this, typically what we're dealing with is like energy fields that may be harder for you to access on your own. Where we, in a setting like this, we're accessing like a group energy that allows us to stretch a bit beyond the three-dimensional plane and go into the 5, 7, 11 planes of existence, where there's a lot more energy. Okay, so here we go. Let's see here. What's the situation? Well, what are the challenges here? And how are we going to handle this going forward regarding their career? Also, we're going to start by looking at external influences, and of course, most of you know, I usually default to the planets themselves. And somehow or other, it affects all of us, whether we like it or know it or not. So in this situation here, we've got the 5 of Cups. Now, this is, you asked about career, okay? So, this is not anything that I would associate with career dynamics. But let's take that into account. It might be that you're looking around at your life in your world and you're sensing that you've given everything that you've got. You've put everything that you all of your goodness, the very, very best of yourself, into being the best you can be. Like your dreams, your ambitions, your hope for a future, things like a career. Career is more than a job. Career is something that people associate with like destiny, where they're thinking 2, 3, 5, 10, 15, 20 years ahead, like a life path. Like in astrology, that would be up here in the 10th house. Your destiny, your career path, your degree of success and relevance here on this life, this earth, this planet, relative to everyone else. It's associated with Capricorn. It's associated with Saturn. Saturn implies that it's a long, hard road. Sometimes it's very, very painful. Sometimes people don't reach a pinnacle in their career until they are in their very later years. I only discovered a while back that the writer for The Wizard of Oz, he actually wrote it when he was 69 years old, I believe. I can't remember his name. Something Baum. B-A-U-M. Richard Baum or something like that. So it took him a very, very long time. It wasn't like, the Harry Potter lady who wrote it in her 30s or 40s or whatever. He was almost 70. But of course it turned into this massive global story, very, very symbolic. The Wizard of Oz. And if you do the deep, deep symbolism, it's all about, the deep state, the Federal Reserve banking system, lies, deception, and betrayal, what's hidden there behind the veil, and so on. And so when I'm looking at the Five of Cups here, it makes me feel that there's a little bit of fear that you have associated with the whole phenomenon of career, and that it's almost like, it sounds really horrible to say it, but you've already tried and failed, and it's so painful. The whole idea of having to try and then maybe fail again is just terrifying. Terrifying, especially when you look out the world around you and you realize that there's just massive increase in hardship, in unemployment, in the destruction of people's jobs and careers on a wholesale level. It's absolutely terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. And so there's a little bit of tragedy, grief, fear, and loss and pain here, because I have a feeling you already know this. You already know that the career landscape is very fragile for the whole world right now. There's the whole aspect of AI, artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is wiping out jobs wholesale. Big corporations laying off thousands and hundreds of thousands. And so it's very, very frightening for people who are trying to get into the career world, into the job world. And it's almost like, it makes me feel like you're almost anticipating a lot of pain and sorrow and tragedy before it even unfolds. And I can understand that with this element here, the financial aspects here. I'm not doing a chart reading for you. I don't know your astrology. This is just generic. You have to understand, on the global scale, this Five of Cups is very tragic. There is enormous amounts of tragedy happening in the world right now. Unprecedented tragedy. And most of that is because of this, the implosion of the structures of the world, the businesses, the way the Capricorn energy works. It's been established for so long, 250 years, and now it's all coming apart, and the pain of coming apart is affecting the whole planet. 250 years ago, 1776 and all that, there was massive revolution and upheaval over here between the United States and the British. But the same storyline is unfolding, but it's for the whole world. So what's happening, as they call it, creative destruction, which is part of the Pluto theme. Okay? Pluto is very, very extreme. It's all about creation, birth, sexual intercourse, the merging of two energies to create one thing that turns into a new one. In other words, man, woman, sex, baby. It's a miraculous thing, okay? Miraculous. But it's also very terrifying because it all ends. We die. And that happens to everything. Careers, empires, corporations. They grow, they live, and they die. I gave a couple examples earlier today with the winery, the great vintage winery people. Penfolds wine. So anyway, you're not alone. Okay, only studies, you're not alone. This, in some ways, this is a very, very big global energy. There's a tremendous amount of grief, pain, and suffering and loss going on in the world right now in the subject of careers, work, careers, like people who've spent their whole lives, in real estate or something, only to be crushed, lost everything. People who've spent their whole lives in some kind of whatever it is, and then it's gone. So it's understandable, Oh, by the way, look over there, only studies. There's a couple of people. Remember, only studies, that most of the people that come here, they're already kind of like psychics or card readers or mediums already. And birds of a feather flock together. All right, only studies. Let's have a look. What's the situation itself right now? King of Swords. Okay, it makes me feel like you've already put in a lot of time and energy towards this subject of career, and you are very determined. Very, very, very determined. And it's like there's only one outcome for you, and that is success in career. In other words, it has to happen. You're not willing to accept or tolerate a losing position or losing option and go like, nah, oh well, I tried. That's not acceptable. Okay? So you're left in this situation with the King of Swords where you're going to do whatever you have to do to succeed. So long as it is true, just, honest, and at the very highest levels of integrity. Whatever your career path or your chosen career path may be. It may be in administration or law or something, but with the King of Swords here, it makes me feel as though you're not going to settle for anything less than having very serious credentials in your career path. For example, hold on, I'm just going to share something very quickly with you, okay, to make it a little more human and normal. So, I'm the idiot in my family. Everybody thought I was a child prodigy genius because of my music and art and my writing, but my IQ was pretty good, but nothing compared to my brother and sister. And they just kind of flew through the whole thing of careers and money and everything just like that. Like, my sister worked very, very hard. My brother, his IQ is off the charts. And he finds it very easy to succeed in career and business. And so he does. And he's very successful. My sister chose to be a veterinarian. And she followed different pathways and went up into the Eli Lilly massive corporate world, big money, global veterinarian stuff. She has a lot of letters after her name. I don't know what they all are, but they're like Doctor of Veterinary this, Masters of this, PhD and blah, 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 blah. She worked very, very hard for that, and she proved herself, and she was recruited big time by the big, big, big people who pay very big money for very highly qualified people, okay? So my feeling is that it's like the King of Swords. Let's go back, hold on. My feeling here is that the King of Swords is part of your nature, in that you're determined to be highly qualified, highly skilled, highly reputable, very prestigious as well, and recognized and appreciated in your career. That would include success, okay? Perhaps being the boss of something, or at the highest levels of something in a certain field. Okay, now what are the challenges here? Let's just say this is global. This is like a deep, deep fear that is sweeping through the global financial markets and the unemployment markets and so on and so on. You don't have to be a victim of that fear, okay? Only studies. So let's have a look. What are the challenges here? With this King of Swords, it makes me feel that you are, without knowing it, you're being extremely hard on yourself. You're putting yourself under extreme pressure for career, let's say, I don't know, directions, ambitions, achievements. And it's almost to the point of ruthlessness. And so with the Knight of Cups here, it makes me feel that deep inside of you, there's a part of you that wishes that you didn't have to be so, let's say, competitive or ambitious or determined for success, in that you could dial it down a bit and give yourself a bit of compassion, give yourself a bit of downtime, a bit of, comfort. So, but that can be very hard to do, because if this level of fear is so pronounced, it could make you want to put even more pressure on yourself to succeed, okay? And then, I mean, you've seen that. You could see it in China. It's very, very extreme in China. People who set themselves up for very specific career paths and ambitions, only to be destroyed by circumstances out of their control. It's devastating. And some of them are confiding, like, you know what? I wish I'd never bothered. I wish I had just treated myself kindly and didn't have so much ambition. Just, had a much simpler life and lowered my expectations, okay? I'm not saying to you, all these studies, lower your expectations, but there's this fear inside of you that there's part of you that's wishing you could dial back the pressure on yourself that you're putting on yourself, okay? So how do we proceed? How are you going to deal with this? Because it's a bit of an awkward situation with all this going on in the background here. Moving forward. Okay, so it's about like striking a balance, okay? It's very, very important. In this interpretation, the way I'm going to do it is striking a balance between work and health, your sanity and your ambition. In other words, if you are obsessed with success and having all the money, but it's at the expense of your heart, your soul, your core, you're going to end up like this. If you go the other way, where you think you're just going to breeze through and automatically have incredible success just because you're smart and you work hard and you study and everything, and you don't exercise enough, three-dimensional pressure on yourself, then there's not going to be much to look forward to. So it's about striking a balance. The balance would be between this and this. In other words, sure, keep the pressure on. Insist and demand that you are the best and that you do the best and you have the credentials, and that will be very evident in the career path going forward. But you cannot do that to yourself and damage yourself at the expense and the loss of your own heart and soul. It's not, you'll end up regretting it. You'll regret, and it doesn't matter how awesome this is, eventually you'll regret it because you gave up all of this. So it's very important to strike a balance. Let's get very specific. In terms of money, in other words, have you heard the expression, your wealth is in your health? So if you obliterate yourself and destroy your health to achieve a career, where's the wealth in that? People do that. So it looks to me like it's like, keep going, understand the challenges of the situation, give yourself a break now and again. Career is usually a very long-term trajectory, okay? So start learning to strike a balance, like every now and again, give yourself a break, give yourself a day off, take some of your hard-earned money, your wealth, your skills, and your talents, and blow it on yourself. Take the weekend off. Go see a movie. Hang out with your buddies. Do something very soothing and healing. Maybe very private and soothing and healing, whatever it is, so that you can come back into harmony. These are your talents and your gifts and your resources. Some of them you're born with, some of them you are earning through your studies for this career. So these are extremely valuable. And you need to maintain this and keep this for your life, okay? You cannot deplete this stuff. You cannot exploit this stuff till it's basically gone, removed, deteriorated to nothing. If this is not kept in balance, none of this matters. This won't matter. So it's very important to think long term. Sure, go for it, but every now and again, every weekend, or maybe once a month, do something really self-indulgent, soothing and healing to treat yourself. Maybe take one whole day off and just have a long nap, okay? Forget the studies, whatever it is. Forget the ambitions. Go out on a hike, Hang out with your buddies. Get into nature. Cuddle a pet. Go to a petting zoo. Whatever it is that makes you feel really, really warm and fuzzy and good inside, okay? So, I hope that makes sense. Alright, so put that in your pipe and smoke it. Alright, next up, let's get over here. We've got to do a little mini reading here for, let's see, Jessica. Okay, we're going to do Jessica next. Give me a second, I got to clear the decks. Then we have to shuffle up, okay? All right. Alright, Jessica, you're up. Finally. Cheers, Jessica. Thanks for hanging in with us. Thanks for being so patient. Hey, Jessica, can you maybe like do a little bit of a reminder for everybody here? Because you've been here a few times already, but like I said earlier, most of the folks here have been here for like 7 years, you know. Maybe like, where are you? If I remember, are you in Canada, Ontario? Or is it Florida? I can't remember. Anyway, and hello, who's this? Polly. Hello, Polly. Hello, Polly. Wait a minute, there was someone else. Where was it? Wait a minute, what's going on here? Bright Light Beckaboo. Hello, Bright Light Beckaboo. Gosh. May you always be a bright light. Oh, you've got your crystal ball. How did you do that? Oh, you're a magician. I bet you're a reader as well. I bet you're a reader, aren't you? I bet you anything. Yep. All right, let's have a look. Come on, Jessica. Go, Jessica. Go, Jessica. All right, cards are very well shuffled. We're fine. Let's just get into it. Jessica, if you don't mind, I'm just going to dive right in. Okay? Thank you. Here we go. What kind of magic messages currently obscured behind the veil of our human three-dimensional limitations that can be released and shared with us all tonight here on the stage, live, in person with Jessica Bergeron. We're all sitting around the same campfire. We just shuffled the seats around a little bit. Alrighty? Timmins, Ontario. Of course, I knew that. Duh. Of course I knew that. Alright, let's cut it up, folks. What kind of messages do we have here for Jessica tonight? Could be anything. Let's have a look. Here's the situation. Here's the challenges. And here's how we're going to handle things. Let's look at the external influences, okay? Oh, here we go. Oh, notes. Here we go. Look at that. I have been undergoing a big spiritual transformation lately. So multiple facets of life have been affected. Okay. Okay. So, okay. So the thing is, if you look at the chart right now, it says on your notes here, undergoing a big spiritual transformation lately. Okay? By lately, I feel we should stretch it out for a year or two, going back to January 2020 specifically. That's when the big shift began. January 2020, that's when Pluto and Saturn and Jupiter were conjoined in Capricorn, 27.5 degrees. The birth degree of the United States, Pluto. Because it's Pluto, it drags on for years, so there's a couple more years of it, but we're at the center point now of this transformational phase lately. So, Jessica, let's look at it this way. These are the transits. This is what's happening right now. This has been hovering here for several years, and it's going to be around here for several more years. Same with this one a little bit over here. But, in terms of the astrology, this point is transiting your chart somewhere. Okay? Okay? It could be anywhere, depending on your rising sign, your sun sign, and whatever. So, that point, wherever this point lies in your particular personal chart, in other words, 0 degrees Aquarius, cusp of Capricorn, 29 degrees Aquarius, that is the hotspot trigger point right now at the very epicenter of your transformation. And what is the key word about Pluto itself? Transformation. Pluto is transformation. Pluto is, think of it this way: man DNA, woman DNA, combine, child DNA. It's transformation. These two mating adults have created a new thing, brand new, transformed. Another transformation is caterpillar to chrysalis to butterfly. Caterpillar doesn't know it's going to be a butterfly. The chrysalis doesn't know that it used to be a caterpillar, it's going to turn into a butterfly. The butterfly has no idea that it used to be a chrysalis or a caterpillar. But the butterfly finds another butterfly, and they have babies, and they create new little baby caterpillars, and it all starts again. There we go. Jessica, you're a Bergeron. Jessica Cancer, you are a Bergeron sun sign. Okay. All right. Let's look up Bergeron sun signs. The planet Bergeron. You know what? I've been doing astrology for a long time, but I don't really know yet where the planet Bergeron is. You know what? Let's just go back to Cancer. Sun sign Cancer. Okay. So let's put Cancer on the horizon. Like this. Okay. It looks like this. I do these when I do personal charts, okay? There's multiple ways to do charts, but one of my favorite is to put the person's sun sign in the first house. And then I go from whole sign 0 to 30 degrees for each sign, each house. So over here, I'm putting it in this section. So, in that case, this Pluto point is sitting on the cusp between your 7th house and your 8th house. In other words, the house of open enemies, marriage, profound business partners, life partners, the most important one-on-one dynamic relationships, the house of open enemies, the house of polarity and opposition to self. And then moving into the place of merger. So the thing is, in simplistic terms, this would be the house of marriage, in traditional terms, boy-girl, with the intention of setting up a home and a family. And then in the 8th house, that's the actual sex act where the merger happens. The deep soul merger between one and another human being to create a new human being, a third entity. That's profound transformational energy. And one of the most powerful things about Scorpio 8th house energy is transformational energy healing. So the word transformation is obviously very important for you right now. All right, so here we go. So yeah, in very simplistic terms, with this chart, we could say that this Pluto point, this crisis point, is happening between the 7th and the 8th house. So in other words, you might have a concept about relationship, profound relationship dynamics, but what does that mean in the long term? Oh, I thought it was this, I thought it was that, I thought it was that. When people, let's say, get married, it's more than just, oh man, we had really great sex last night, let's get married. No, it's more than that. It's like a legal contract. It's an intention for the future. In the old-fashioned way, it's about making babies and setting up homes. And that happens through deep soul merger, your money, your body, your DNA, with another person who commits the same thing. All right, anyway, let's have a look. I don't want to scare you. What kind of messages do we have here for Jessica tonight, who happens to be under the sign of Cancer? All right, let's have a look. Okay, so we got the King of Wands. Well, let me just check something here. Give me a second here. See, I'm associating this King of Wands energy very much with like Leo, pride, strong. There might be, I don't know if this is symbolic or if it's personal, but it makes me feel that there is some kind of, I mean, I'm taking this to an extreme right now, but Okay, please bear with me, Jessica, on this one, because oh God, this is going to sound really, really weird. But I am sensing that you are sensing that there is some really shitty stuff going on in the world right now. But there are a few people, biological male people, who are willing to face up to the evil. I'm not going to name names, but some of them are very, 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 very famous across the world right now. And they are acting as a beacon of light, hope, inspiration, integrity, courage, faith, belief in freedom, destiny, authority, integrity, and so on. There's a certain particular character I'm thinking of, and the energy is so big, it is globalized, that there are other countries around the world that are adopting the same auric type of energy. And that, whether you like it or know it or not, or feel it or know it or not, I have a feeling that is impacting you some way at the very, very depth of your soul, which is giving you a sense that even though there's an absolute shit show across the world right now, and it would be so easy to be sucked into the black hole of evil, demonic, satanic sewage, that's not going to happen for you. No freaking way, because you are aware that there is someone who, and others, who are the embodiment of the good stuff, okay? And that makes me feel here, as your reader, that you have every reason to feel optimistic. No matter how bad things are, no matter how awful it gets out there, you, Jessica Bergeron, you're going to be okay. Because you've made the decision to be born and live in such a way that you are alive through this moment in history. Because this moment in history is astrologically epic, freaking mind-boggling. Hasn't happened for about 250 years, and we're dealing with it right now, live. And you are an active participant. Okay, now, what's the situation itself? Okay. So you said you're going through a really, let's see. Okay, guy, wait a minute. I just see that. More notes. Just maybe just, please. Possibly. I've been purging and cleansing, gaining perspective and understanding, connecting closer with God, overall feeling more clarity and peace. Well, I was just going to say that. You spoiled the reading, Jessica. I was just going to say all that. Damn. Because that's really kind of what's happening here. This is an indication that you've been doing some very profound meditation, cleansing, deliberately getting in touch with the multidimensional world above and beyond your three-dimensional existence. In other words, think of this as your antennae, your spiritual antennae, and you are deliberately switching off the limitations of the three-dimensional world and deliberately tuning into the much higher frequencies out there and beyond. In other words, people like psychic mediums, energy healers, they do that kind of stuff. Remote viewers, that's what they do. That is the mechanism. That's how they get into that zone where you are now. They realize, wow, it's an actual process. I can deliberately choose to do that and be that way. So, there you go. None of this would be happening without your choice. So it looks to me like you've made a very profound choice to sort of get to a place in life where these spiritual things that you're talking about are more important than just a three-dimensional existence. And so you're dedicating yourself to that in terms of advancing your own spiritual development, connection with God, and everything that you just said that I was going to say. Okay. So let's have a look. That's very, very cool, because this is actually the process through which you receive divine guidance. You get, your messages are delivered to you. I like to do a message like, the typical one I like to use is just generic. Dear angels, dear guardians, dear loved ones, dear invisible friends on the other side, I know you're there. You're always there for me. I love you very much. I know you love me very much. Please send little messages to let me know what I need to know so that I can operate at those frequencies that I know that are best for me. Thank you very much. This is also an indication that you've learned how to tap into prayer power. So that's really cool. Okay, what are the challenges here? Hold on, what? Jessica's going crazy. What's this? There used to be an Aries in my life, but the connection fell apart and I've been healing from the heartbreak. Okay. I'm not sure this is my kingdom wands unless circumstances change in the future. We'll see. Okay, well, okay, so the challenges now, let's have a look. What are we dealing with? Okay, Four of Swords. Okay, so this is very much about healing, the Four of Swords. To me, it indicates that you still need healing. You need extensive healing. But the thing is, it's very frustrating for you right now because you just kind of want to get on with life because you've already sensed that there's more life ahead, and you just want to move forward into the good stuff. You don't want to be burdened by the past. But it looks to me, what I'm sensing here with the Four of Swords, that you still need more downtime. You still need more privacy, more meditation, more healing on yourself to recover from this heartbreak that you just mentioned in the chat. Because I think the wound is perhaps a little bit deeper than your consciousness is allowing you to perceive. So this makes me feel like it's a challenge here because you just want to heal and move on, understandably. But sometimes it's hard to heal and move on if the healing is, if the wound is very deep. Okay? So let's have a look. How do we move forward from this? Let's have a look. You're already kind of doing it. More swords. Look at that. Okay, so my feeling is that with the Justice card, you have already figured out that everything is exactly as it should be. And why is that so? And how is that so? It's because it can't be any other way. In other words, on the spiritual plane, with the evolutionary story of your life, with the crisis points in your chart, with your personal astrology, the community that you're joining, the heartbreak that you've had, these are all components and chapters and episodes in your life, the life and the movie, Jessica Bergeron, the movie, okay? Where you are the writer, the producer, and the director. And the star. Okay? So what I'm sensing here with the Justice card is that deep down, you already know this, but the reading is indicating that the best thing to do is to accept what's going on here and understand that if you try to force or accelerate the healing, then you're going to hurt yourself long term. You're better off just hanging out in this evolutionary spiritual kind of twilight zone right now, because it's not going to stop in the next few weeks. Okay, it's going to go on. Okay, this particular point that we're talking about here, right here, for you, right here, it's right on the cusp. You see, it's going to take another year and a half just to move from the tip of my fingernail to here. Okay? So be very, very patient. Give yourself the time of day. Understand the deep, deep meditation messages that are coming to you that you learned through the chapter of relationship. And how is that going to affect you now that you have the wisdom and the knowledge? You know what can go wrong, how it goes wrong, why it goes wrong. So it's not wasted. You haven't wasted that. But going forward, you want to optimize things like relationship dynamics so that it becomes mutually beneficial. And all the characteristics for something mutually beneficial are already defined in the early stages. In other words, it's not a relationship of convenience, not a relationship of exploitation, not a relation of culture or pressure, anything like that. It's a relationship that's operating on much higher frequencies, okay? Way, way higher frequencies. So in other words, with the Justice card here, it makes me feel like, please be very patient with yourself. Allow the justice to unfold. Allow yourself to be brought back into harmony and balance. There might have been some aspects of the relationship dynamic which the failures and the pain lie squarely on you, and some aspects where the failures and the pain lie squarely on the other. And that has to be fully understood and integrated and fully transformed, where I call it turning garbage into gold. Like how people take sewage and food waste and they put it in a compost heap, and that turns into very, very rich fertilizer, turning garbage into gold, like they do with cow poop. They turn cow poop into the best fertilizer there is, okay? So going forward, understand that this is a long-term phenomenon. You're in the process of transformation. It's going to continue, and it's ultimately for your benefit, and you're going to be just fine. And justice will prevail, and a sense of serenity and calm will start to live inside you, because you realize to yourself, like, wow, I lived through that. That was me. That was me. I lived through all that, and I came out the other side. I'm wiser. I am healed. I am healing. I am healed. It's actually kind of beautiful, really. I hope that helps you, Jessica. Yes, I hope that helps you. All right, I think we have a reading now for Mr. Ross. Mr. Ross, you're up. Let me see here. right, Mr. Ross, you're up. Okay, let's see how we're doing, man. Excuse me. Okay. So, it's amazing we're still doing this, isn't it? Just amazing. I think it's fun when the other readers put their notes. It adds to the reading. It adds richness, color, texture, more value. All right, here we go. Let's have a look. Oh. All right, so Gregory, a lot of people here know that we all know each other. We've known each other for years in one form or another. I know it's an online community, and I always think of it as our Sunday night campfire. I've always had this ambition of having a real live physical retreat. Ideally, I would have it somewhere like Dunedin in New Zealand, or perhaps up by Matarangi up in New Zealand, or Whitianga, or somewhere like that. Just like this beautiful, beautiful physical place, okay? And we're still sustaining it in our own quirky little way. Gregory's been with us pretty much since the beginning. We've done a lot of work together, and also Tina is here. Tina Miller's not here tonight. I haven't seen her, but we've done a lot of work with her too. And Love Triber and Necessary. And welcome to all these newbies, man. There was Polly, Bright Light, Becca Boo, and the other Only Studies. 3 newbies in one night. Wow. That's amazing. All right, so cards are shuffled, okay? And we're going to let's see what goes on here. So Gregory, it doesn't even honestly, it doesn't even matter if you're here watching, if you're making some tea or a cup of coffee, or hanging out with your buddies. Excuse me. You'll get the reading anyway, okay? Because you can catch it like tomorrow or something on the replay when it's processed. Let's have a look here. Okay, what kind of messages do we have for Gregory Ross tonight? I know I feel comfortable, okay, to confide that Gregory himself is going through massive, profound transformations. In fact, you know what? That's a good point. You know how we talked about this little point here with Jessica Bergeron, right? Well, this point exists in everybody's chart somewhere. All right? Depending on your personal astrology. And this point will be the exact place where your deepest, most profound upheaval and transformation will be occurring, whether you're aware of it or not. Same thing over here, same thing here, but especially here and here. So it could be anywhere in anybody's chart, but those are the 2 crises points right now. Now, here's another thing that came to me the other day. Remember, what was it, about a week ago or something? Give me a second here. Just yesterday, the chart looked like this. We had the crisis points here. Multiple. Where's that one with all the orange swirly gigs? There's that one. Do you remember this one? Remember this chart, people? And Love Triber called it one of those fairground machines where, this part goes around and round and round, and then you get inside one of these cages, and these cages spin around and round and round. So on the 21st of July, this is what the astrology looked like. And I should have mentioned this earlier. Can you imagine being a little baby born with this astrology? You were born on 21st of July, 2024, and this is what your chart looked like? Oh my God. I don't know. So anyway, I hope that makes sense, what I was trying to describe there. All right, here we go. Let's bless this deck. Bless every single card. Bless all of us, all of you, all your invisible friends, the platform. Okay. All right. So, Gregory, here we go. Here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle things. And, here's how we're going to handle things. All right. Now, let's have a look. External influences. I default to the planets. Let's have a look. So, we've got the Five of Swords here. This, to me, is like a check engine light flashing on your life, your car. It's not a good thing. It's not the bad thing. It's there to help you. Okay? That little orange check engine light on your car is there to help you. It happens with people. It happens with our souls. Okay? And my feeling here is that what it's about is to give you a heads up well in advance. Just as a reminder, we've just lived through some monumental, tumultuous astrology, especially around here. Okay? And all these cusps and all these little mini crises points here were just... Let's mark it. Let's mark that right now. This is an important crisis point. I think this particular reading here tonight refers to this crisis point, the build up to this crisis point, and the fallout from this crisis point, and then living through this crisis period for the whole month, because the whole of August is essentially going to be a shit show because of Mercury retrograde. The build up, the experience, and the rollout. Okay? So, mark your calendars, Gregory. The whole of August is a period of time where the world of communications, Mercury, okay, like contracts, emails, voicemails, phone calls, spoken word, written word, social media of all kinds, mainstream and personal and private, are all going to be subject to a tremendous amount of static and instability. Which brings me to this, specifically regarding Mercury. It's very, very, very important to double check, triple check, quadruple check what you say, who you say it to, when you say it, why you say it, where you say it, and how you say it. Who, what, when, why, where, how. All of that pertaining to Mercury, but especially with Mercury retrograde. Okay? Now, of course, the thing is, with Mercury retrograde, it doesn't matter how much homework you do in advance, all of us are going to live through the experience, and there are going to be moments where we regret what we said, how we said it, when we said it, why we said it, where we said it, and who we said it to. And you can't take it back. So the important thing with this Five of Swords is to understand that in advance. So that it goes both ways. Be very, very careful of the words and the language, that you don't feel necessarily obliged to prove a point that's not even worth proving. What's the point? Because there are certain people who just don't give a shit. Okay, so don't even bother. And vice versa. There are going to be people who may be trying to prove a point and exert some kind of nefarious pressure on you. And there's no point in taking it personally, because that's just who they are, what they do, and how they do it. And they're screwing up big time under the Mercury retrograde. But again, when you know all this in advance, then it allows you to navigate a little bit more smoothly and go through the process. The whole of August, it's going to be about navigating through the Mercury retrograde, because all these other big retrogrades, Pluto, Neptune, and Saturn, are already well in play, and our bodies have become attuned to it. And it's going to continue through August. So where people are going to feel the main disruptions is from the Mercury retrograde itself, even though the energy field of a Mercury retrograde is microscopic compared to Saturn, Neptune, Pluto retrogrades. Okay? However, it's still very, very important. So this is like, I guess to say, the best way to say this, Gregory, is that do not be surprised if you see the check engine light coming on in your world of communications. Loved ones, friends, families, career, business, contracts, paperwork, all that kind of stuff. Just be aware, there's a very high probability, if it's not on now, the check engine light is going to come on. And in some ways it's better the sooner it comes on, because then you can get under the hood of your life and your world and address the situation so that you have a clearer understanding. This is very much correlated with the core theme of the spread itself. This is a diagnostic tool. And I often use this situational spread description as the little black box that they stuff under the steering wheel of your car to get connected with the computer system of your car to do the diagnostics. That's what this is here. The orange light is starting to blink now and again, and it's going to continue to blink. And so that's putting you on alert, okay? SM, hold on, wait a minute, stop there. SM, no super chats. Don't do a super chat. I'll never get it. YouTube will take it, okay? Don't do it. And I can't do any more readings tonight. I'm already saturated. But come again. There's another thing, SM, what you can do is, if you want, you can... Okay, sorry, Gregory, forget the interruption. Here's a classic example of Mercury retrograde already starting to kick in. It's an interruption on your reading. Here we go. Look at this. Dear SM, I can't do any more readings tonight, but what you can do is you can go to TarotLumination.com, click the donate page, click the donate button, swipe through there. It's just like online shopping, or use your PayPal. Scroll down and you can use a debit or credit card. You make your payments that way. You can go to the readings page, okay? And you can book a reading that way, and we'll sort it out, okay? No problems. If we have to, we'll schedule it all private during the week. You can use the connect page and so on. Alrighty? So anyway, Gregory, this is about diagnostics, understanding that the check engine light's coming on in your life and your world, especially regarding Mercury retrograde. So it's good to stay ahead of these things. Restructuring. The Hierophant, to me, it makes me feel like that you are putting in very serious, deep, profound spiritual efforts to rewrite the code of your life. Like what do they call it in business? They call it there's a word for it. Like in religion, they call it the Ten Commandments. In business, they call it your operating code, your mission statement. I, Gregory Ross the movie, as the writer, producer, director, actor of the Gregory Ross movie, I hereby decree that, number one, I will do this, I will do that, I will not do this. People will be kind to me, I will respect people, I will not tolerate disrespect, I will not deliberately, whatever it is, starting to draft and redraft a new operating system. In other words, it's sort of like, what I do with my notes here. So these were my notes for today. But what you can do, what I'm sensing here, is understand that this Mercury retrograde is actually working for you. It's there for you, and it's not happening to you. They're not trying to hurt you. Heaven is not trying to hurt you. The planet Mercury is not trying to hurt you. What I'm sensing here already, we've already started the reading, but what it's really about, it's giving you a chance to rewrite your business model of life, your mission statement of life, where you've been operating under a certain pre-existing mission statement, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and you're realizing, like, damn, this one never worked. This one never worked, and I don't know why I ever bothered with this one. So all of that needs to go. Rip it up and start again. And like they do this in business all the time. Every few months, every year, they rewrite their mission statement and their operating system to keep up with itself, because people, like corporations and businesses in life, we're always evolving. We outgrow the old in with the new. So that's what's happening. It's very, very important right now to take this opportunity, see it, instead of pain and suffering, see it as an amazing opportunity to restructure, redefine, create a new constitution for Gregory Ross. The new constitution. All right, what are the challenges here? Obviously, you don't want to deliberately impoverish yourself by mixing with the wrong people, with the wrong relations at the wrong time for the wrong purpose, with the wrong language at the wrong place. Okay? Mercury, we just talked about it. Mercury retrograde, so important with language. Be careful. Who, what, when, why, where, how are we communicating? So that you don't disempower yourself or, let's say, diminish yourself. Obviously, you don't want to bankrupt yourself, hurt yourself in any way. And of course, there's a fear, because you might be frightened that, wow, if I don't transform, if I don't reconstitute my constitution, I could end up broke. Oh no, oh no, oh no. And so when you combine all this, well, let's just keep going. So my feeling here is that because you've been such a martyr, literally sacrificing sometimes your own best interests in order to compassionately help out a neighbor, a client, a friend, because that's the kind of guy you are. But going forward, it's like you've reached a point where you can't just like give it all away just because you're kind and compassionate and you can help. It's very important now to like consolidate and make sure that you're financially sound going forward, and that becomes a really, really important part of your new business model. Like, you cannot afford to neglect or delay, deny, deflect, or ignore financial matters, because they're actually extremely important and it's nothing to be ashamed of. So how do we do that going forward? Okay, be very, very careful. In other words, going forward, it's really, really important to become, let's say, much more acutely discerning of what's actually going on. Okay? Because you might be so susceptible to your own compassion, your own natural affinity to be loving, to a fault, where you effectively give it all away and there's no reward. In fact, there's no gratitude. In other words, you end up ground into a pulp, and there's, It's kind of tragic, and it's not necessary. So going forward, it becomes very, very, very important to make sure in your new constitution that you make one of the articles like, I will call out fraud, deception, lies, betrayal, delusion, trickery, bribery, deceit, nastiness, any kind of distortion of reality and truth and honesty, integrity, and love. I will deliberately make that one of my core tenets in my new constitution, so that I am no longer vulnerable to the trickery and fraudulent behavior of other people, especially high-ups, especially people who are really, really high up, who can easily take advantage of your good nature. So it's very, very important to understand that you are vulnerable to exploitation, and that's no longer acceptable. Now, there might be a little bit of an Achilles heel here, or a Chiron element or something, where this is a little bit painful to acknowledge and deal with, but it's very, very important, I think, to incorporate it so that this does not become a problem going down the road. In other words, like, if you don't... Okay, I don't know. Anyway, let's go over here. Let's do this over here. Luckily, Gregor, we've worked together a lot, so I know you like to do your own readings on yourself too, so go ahead for that and reinterpret all the cards as you will. But my feeling is that it's time to be really straightforward and simple. Like, I'm done with all the shenanigans, the lies, the bullshit. I have to put up the hand. It's no longer acceptable because it's too draining. It puts you out so far out on a limb, and then you end up like, it's my life. I'm the freaking writer, director, producer, and actor of this movie. So when all this horrible stuff that happens, I have to understand that I am a component of that outcome. It happened to me, so I'm part of the equation. Did I attract that? Have I attracted my own demise unconsciously? If so, what am I going to do about it? Well, it's very important to become conscious of the ingredients and the circumstances and conditions that correlate with self-undoing. Whatever it might be. Too much booze, too much smoking, too much gambling, too much, I don't know, anything that correlates to self-undoing. You've been through a lot and you're recovering. You already know that all this stuff is happening to you, and then going forward, you know you have to take ownership. You have to integrate all the confusion that lies behind the smoke and mirrors, call it out and say, okay, all of that stuff out there, that was smoke and mirrors. That veil of deception is departing. And now, going forward, the Gregory Ross movie, the writer, producer, director, actor of this movie, we're now going to deal with three-dimensional pentacles reality. We're not going to allow ourselves to be, let's say, influenced by these very, very nebulous, nefarious energies that have surrounded you. It's not acceptable anymore. It's very, very important to understand that you're part of the equation and that you're the one who has to call this out on yourself and say, that's it. if I have 10 articles of my mission statement, this is how the movie's going to work out. This is how it's going to go from here on. And give yourself a chance to do amendments every now and again as things evolve, but lay down some core principles. You know, I think it's healthier to do, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that, rather than saying, I'm not going to do that, I'm not going to do that, I'm not going to do that. Because the universe kind of doesn't respect the not word too well. Have you noticed the word from Google? Remember when they first established their mantra? Remember that long ago? With Larry Page and Sergey Brin did their amazing Google, which is now a multi-billion-dollar empire, global empire. Their mantra was, do no evil. The energy associated with that was the word evil. And so the universe kind of went, oh, Google equals evil. Google, as you know, masquerades as this amazingly powerful tool, which it is, and it's free. But that's what allows them to do what they do behind the veil of deception, to which we are not a party. So I'm trying to apply that principle to your situation, where now that you have an awareness of what's actually going on, you're not allowed to allow yourself to be undermined, betrayed, deceived, tricked, forced into accepting, believing something that is not acceptable to you. I don't know how that's going to actually turn out. It might be something as simple as like giving yourself permission to do the middle finger to certain people, places, situations, or whatever it is, but doing it in a way where it's not vindictive or malicious, but basically saying, no, certain things are no longer acceptable. I am moving on, and that's all there is to it. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that. It's all healthy and positive, and it's done by decree. Okay? So I hope that helps you. Let's have a look. All right, we're going to wrap this all up. I'm going to do it very quickly. I'm going to wish everybody good night. It's been an absolute pleasure. We'll come back again soon. Hello to all the newbies. It was great having you. I'm sorry I couldn't do lots more readings, because there was a time when I would do 5 or 6 or 7 readings. But thank you very much, everybody. I am going to wrap things up a little bit here, and then bid thee good night. Let's see here.